on Google Cloud that we'll be using is called BigQuery. As you can see up here on the screen, BigQuery. So the good thing with BigQuery is you have a range of different data sets that you can just work with to practice your SQL or SQL skills. If you're looking at managing a large portion of data, say your business is a delivery-based, truck-driving business, logistics, for example, and you have just data coming through all the time of all the different orders and all the different items that you are delivering. And obviously, it's not going to be feasible once the business reaches a certain scale or size to be able to store all that data in Excel. So it's when you start to look at servers and databases to store your data. Um, Excel's great for, maybe 5,000 rows, 3,000 rows worth of data. But once you start looking at 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 rows of data, say it's security data, you want to ensure that your business has a server to store that data, and then you can link from the server through to data visualization applications. So if we're just sticking with Google's applications, for your business, you could use Google Sheets as kind of like your everyday analysis spreadsheet for recording smaller internal processes if the business is just small to medium sized. You could use Looker Studio for visualizations, and you could use BigQuery to store the bulk of the business data and just pay the monthly fee to Google to do that. Now, as an analyst, where an analyst can add value to the business is if you store all your data in the server, an analyst can analyze that data quite quickly. And basically, it's just about building SQL skills to get the same and understanding the syntax so you can perform what an analyst can typically perform on Excel, but in SQL in that server to service that bigger data set. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a bit of basic stuff today, nothing too complicated. Um, so the data set here is Chicago crime. I go in crime. Okay, cool. So this is the data set here. We've got a preview, all the different variables. So all the crime rates, all crime that's happened in Chicago. We've got the date there. Typically, if you're using Excel, you'd go equals year function, bring all these dates into year, or you might use some of the date if and other functions to formulate, some more variables within that data set. But this is just the raw data set of how it comes out when it's recorded on a server. So this might come through police software, for example, and it's been put straight into a server. We can see there that we do have a year function. That's a year variable. Sorry, that's really good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to query. So I'm going to go in split tab so everyone can see. Okay, so it comes up with a quick one straight away. So that's just a select from, but basically just gives you the table back, I guess, on how it is on the left-hand side of the screen. So what I'm going to do here is we go, okay, let's have a look at a variable. So primary type. So I might go primary type as my variable because that tells what sort of incident it was. Was it a robbery? Was it an assault, etc. So if I go select primary type, primary underscore type, I can then just filter it out, run this, and I'm just looking at the primary type column then. Okay, so no real different to Excel if you're just to look at one column and you take it away from all the other columns just to narrow it down, have a bit of a look through. So I can see down the bottom here, these are all the different types, criminal, sexual assault, homicide, kidnapping. So there's different sort of values there in the data set. So if I want to be a little bit more informative now, I can split this down a little bit. I can go select primary type. So what was the primary type of incident? And then from here, um, I can go select from, and then I'm going to put in a where clause. Okay, so select, where, and from are the basic clauses or commands on SQL that you'll typically use as a beginner. So I'm going to go where arrest is equal to false. So this is because this is a Boolean based value here. So um, it's kind of a true or false. So if I go over here, I'm saying, okay, if this command is false, what are all the false arrests? And, what sort of type of arrests are false within this particular data set? So I'm going to go up, I'm going to run this command. Just going to wait for it to execute. I'm going to have a look at the results down the bottom here. Okay. And then I can just go through and I can see all the different, I can see how many there were. And there was 50. And, um, you can pin that down a little bit further um, by working out where, um, how many of them were stalking, how many were criminal sexual assault, and so forth. So, um, yeah, so that sort of just gives you a bit of an idea from select, from, and where on SQL. So I'm going to close that off now, and I'm going to give one more data set a go. Okay, we'll go COVID tracking. I'll just have a look at this data set, see the quality summary of this particular data set, preview, got a few different variables there. Okay, so we've got all the different tests, cases of positive, what dates. So it's all numbers, this one here. So that makes it a little bit different to analyze, but using more quantitative data versus qualitative data. So what I would do is I would just go new SQL query or just go query here and split tab again. I like the split tab because when you're learning, you can look at the variables and then just use the commands accordingly to find out the information that you want to know. So um, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find my variable to select again. So this time, let's just have a bit of a look through here. What's a good kind of measure, good variable to kind of measure? Um, let's just go cases. Um, we'll go deaths total. It's 187,210. So that there gives us an average for that particular column. Okay, so just like in Excel, you just highlight the common and then you column and you go equals average, or sorry, you go equals average and then you'd highlight the common, close the parentheses and hit enter, and it would give you the average for that particular column. This would do exactly the same thing. Okay, um, so that's sort of how that works there. If I want to add up a total in a column, just like in Excel, same thing. So let's say a business has um, all its different, profits for all the different months or all the different sales that it's had for revenue for all the different months. And I wanted to know just the average sale, then it would work. If I wanted to know the total sales for um, the for each month in the year or in the data set, I would go something like in here, and you would go the sum function, and then you just do like I don't know for this one we might just use the cases positive increase. That'll do. Make sure I get that green light. Yep, beautiful. Okay, so we can see the total down the bottom here. Um, and yeah, it's as simple as that. So pretty easy. Sum, average, count, all those little functions. If you just do the count function, you can just throw that in as well. Run that count function there and run it. Beautiful. So we know there's 420 values within that particular column. Okay. So that kind of just gives you a little bit of basic, I guess, if you're looking at filtering, basic data analytics, Excel functions in SQL. Um, that is a good place to start. Thanks, and I will catch you next time.